Coming up on Serious Joy, this Wednesday is our monthly welcome party. A cast of star-studded Serious Joy favorites give new subscribers a behind-the-scenes tour of the magic of Serious Joy. It's not too late to sign up for Serious Joy and join the party. And did you catch Robbie Hunt's powerful self-study hall this week? Rebranded as a lecture series, Robbie dives deep into forging a new era, how Neptune's magic and Saturn's grit is showing the way in Aries. And we're happy to announce the Secrets of Manifestation series is back by popular demand. Remastered for the new website, discover how to manifest your heart's desires step by step from step 0 to step 29. Now available in the edutainment section. Premiering this week on SeriousJoy.com. Your Step Astrology this week. A new moon solar eclipse officially launches your newly upgraded and empowered ego. Then on the following day, Neptune shifts into Aries for the first time since the Civil War in 1861. All that and more on Namaste Today Live. Greetings to my galactic family and earthly neighbors. Welcome to Namaste Today Live. I'm your cosmic comedian and the sensei to Serious Joy, Christopher Witecki, here at your service. My mission is to witness and report on the Earth's ascension, and we do this week after week, streaming live on many platforms. In fact, we're on YouTube, Facebook, X.com, Instagram, and even LinkedIn. If you're in our chat room tonight, say hello to your cosmic cousins. Tell us where you are chatting from and what your astrology sign is. This week's top astro headlines are: a grandmaster solar eclipse in Aries hits Saturday morning, setting up for a tense week after. On Sunday, Neptune enters into a battle zone Aries state of awareness, the first time since the Civil War. And on Friday, Mars and Saturn all sextile Uranus at the same time. Those are three power planets creating a little bit of trouble. And we're going to get into all the details of the solar eclipse, but before we do, let's take a look at the week's moods and your zodiac weather. This zodiac weather spans from Saturday, March 29th to Friday, April 4th, 2025. Today's zodiac weather is sponsored by Refresh My Property. Did you know discordant energies like illness, trauma, violence, and even depression can linger on a property for hundreds of years? If you're feeling blocked or unsettled in your space, RefreshMyProperty.net can help clear these energies remotely. Get your free consultation today at RefreshMyProperty.net. That's RefreshMyProperty.net. Turning now to the zodiac weather, the weekend shows some promise, but a solar eclipse knocks it out of the park. Let's drill down. On Saturday, it's sunny and radiant. Step 9 Aries means Mars rules the day with an intention to take action. It's also a new moon solar eclipse, which apexes at 6:57 a.m. Eastern Time. This grandmaster solar eclipse will forge the crowning of the wigo turning into the wigo. The daily affirmation is, I am the crowning. Just 20 minutes later after the eclipse, Mercury retrograde re-ingresses back into Pisces, shifting your mental focus back on your spiritual mission and reframing the mission to suit the wigo. And just before bed, as a final round, Mercury retrograde conjoins Neptune at step 29 Pisces, giving you dreams full of who knows what. Then comes Sunday, it's sunny and triumphant. Step 10 indicates that Mother Earth rules the day, allowing for a day of manifestation and bringing things together. The new moon energy of Aries shifts to Taurus, also aiding and abetting to manifestation. The daily affirmation declares the outcome, I am evolved, raising the calling of my potential. And then later, topping off a historical weekend, Neptune ingresses into Aries for the first time since 1861. Then taking a sneak peek at the upcoming weekday forecast, over the week ahead, we move from step 11 to step 15, which means you take this new you and you apply it to the world, meaning you might have some notes for some changes. On Monday, it's sunny and blooming. Step 11 indicates that Chiron rules the day. This is a day of loving and loving yourself some more, allowing the newly born wigo to come into full bloom. The affirmation is, I am whole, accepting my calling. And with the moon in Taurus, you'll also generate emotional self-confidence that will fund the new wigo. On Taco Tuesday, it's sunny and investing. Step 12 means that Jupiter rules the day, calling for expanded thinking due to a shift in belief structure. Learning begins while you're sleeping. At 4:38 a.m. Eastern Time, Venus retrogrades conjuncts North Node in Pisces at 27 degrees. This calls for moving forward with spiritual mission while opening to new options that you might have closed down to before. This leads your waking life with the affirmation of, I am exploring, elevating my comfort zone. The moon in Taurus manifests in the morning, but then later shifts to Gemini, where conversation or deep thought may take over. On Wednesday, hump day, it's sunny and buzzing. Step 13 indicates that Uranus rules the day. Expect delays and the unimagined. The affirmation is, I am independent, surrendering to the intuitive mind. And with the moon in Gemini, feelings are both intuitive and conclusive. On Thursday, it's partly sunny and trippy. Step 14 tells us that Mercury retrograde rules the day. Your mind will be taking over your ride, but probably thinking over your shoulder. The affirmation is, I am established, a future I never considered. The moon starts in Gemini, where you process that reality, but then shifts into Cancer, where you face emotional cold fronts about how you truly feel over the change. And then on Friday, it's partly cloudy and breezy. Step 15 tells us that Venus rules the day. This is a day of opening your heart to accept or not accept the new potential. The affirmation is, I am open, emotionally integrating the consequences. Said consequences may be the result of either the new moon solar eclipse earlier this week, or Mercury retrograde conjoining the North Node at step 27 Pisces early in the morning around 2:53 a.m. By accepting the said consequences, 3 different transits top off the day. Saturn sextiles Uranus, taking responsibility for innovation and growth. Mars sextiles Uranus, taking emotional maturity and pushing it towards innovation. And Mars trine Saturn, taking emotional maturity and helping you take greater power. All these phenomenal changes leads you for a weekend of spiritual meditation and final declaration. Our second sponsor tonight is yours truly and the Diamond A Club. This is a 6-month intensive where you would work with me personally. We meet once a month for ourselves on a one-on-one, once a month as a group, so it's also a think tank with others, and it's designed for you to help build a mission to a higher level. You've probably heard me say golden egg. Well, this is diamond. This is about the dream of a lifetime, a company you're trying to take to the next level, or perhaps you want to learn how to be an astrologer. Whatever the case is, I'll get you there in 6 months, and you'll manifest or be on the path to manifesting that in that time frame. If you'd like to learn more, the details and the price, navigate to senseiChristopher.com. Our new semester will open at the end of April. All right, friends, well, it's an exciting time. We do want to say, however, if you are watching on YouTube, be kind and to subscribe to our channel, Serious Joy TV, our flagship. Also hit the bell button so you're notified. And if you don't mind, please like this video right now so the YouTube algorithm will like us also. If you're watching on Facebook or X, Twitter, or Instagram, please also hit the like button and leave a comment so they know that you like us too. And with that, let's move on to our planets and transits. Well, folks, we're in a tense time. Things will get more tense as we move into Aries. The first tense event, a solar eclipse coming up this week. In fact, tomorrow, frankly. So brace yourselves. You might have already felt it as it stands. We're in Aries, of course, and right now in Aries, what we are doing is replacing our ego. Basically, it's an ego upgrade. And we know this from many factors. We can't get into all of them right now, but in essence, we just spent about 2 years clearing out our karma. Now, your karma is your kind of subconscious pre-manifest conditions of your soul that are a part of your original ego. So when you're born with an ego that's already defensive of your core issues, always looking out for the same trouble to happen again. And so because we have upgraded so much of our spirit, our ego does not necessarily apply anymore. Now, I believe, and I have a theory, that this new ego is called a wigo, because I believe that this new ego is not based on a singular, just the I, but rather duality. And that duality will lead to unity consciousness. In other words, our ego, I think the new and improved ego, has a bigger bandwidth. It can basically focus on more than one thing at once. And this is a good thing because sometimes you have to think for yourself and also yourself at the same time, or think for yourself and others. Or perhaps you've always thought for others as a light worker, and now it's time to also think for yourself. Now, we have spent the beginning of Aries focusing on implementing these new spiritual values into this ego consciousness and these lessons that we have. And in most cases, our karma deals with ourself. I know that we have issues with people in the world, or maybe theft or things like that that happen to us, but most of it is due to the fact that we are born treating ourselves poorly. We usually learn this from our family, which is destined, by the way. You have that family so you would treat yourself poorly. And that karma with yourself is how you treat yourself. Well, in the last few days, we have been working on clearing that karma. In other words, learning how to treat ourselves better, responding differently to ourselves, finding a way to be strong, but also flexible at the same time, and always considering the needs of others, including yourself. So building that dynamic, it's sort of a high vibration ego, which we call the wigo. And what's going to happen is a solar eclipse will happen tomorrow. It's a new moon solar eclipse, and it's at Grandmaster Step 9 Aries. And that's one of the reasons why we felt it was a new ego, because literally you have a solar eclipse on the 1 degree that holds the ego together, the Grandmaster degree, Step 9 Aries. This tells you that you're going to replace it. If nothing else, it's going to get such an upgrade, you won't even recognize it anymore. And it's funny because everything is in beautiful concert, because we have that eclipse around 6:57 a.m. Eastern time. Then Mercury will regress into Pisces, which is funny. So it moves out of the ego and into spirit again. And then Mercury retrograde conjuncts Neptune at the end of the day. So it's a lot of cosmic change. Now, what I think is going to happen is that you're going to feel very empowered. And this is a good thing. The empowerment is to help you move forward. Recognize, though, the empowerment is not to blame the world. It's not to get into a fight with someone. That would be a bad mistake, because you're diverting the energy to the outer world. And the whole point is to build a more successful, more empowered inner world. So do something for yourself. Focus on yourself. And because it's a net 9, which means action, you want to put something into action. It's not enough just to think about it or do a vision board or something like that. You really have to do something for yourself and show yourself that you mean business. And again, that's tomorrow morning, Saturday, apexing around 6:57 a.m. Eastern time. Now, from there, things just get spicier and spicier, because everyone's going to feel empowered. Well, as you can imagine, people have not been feeling empowered for a long time. And so once you have everyone feeling empowered, suddenly you have things like people honking at green lights and being impatient and cutting each other off, things like that. It's possible this is going to happen. In fact, on Sunday, the very next day, Neptune moves into Aries. Now, this is the first time Neptune has been in Aries in our lifetime, and the first time Neptune's been in Aries since 1861, the start of the Civil War. In fact, the last president that witnessed this was Abraham Lincoln. Interesting. Now, Neptune in Aries means that we're going to be in a period where spirit and ego are infusing. So what happens is that the ego during that period is very much inspired, if you will, by spirit. Now, here's where it gets dangerous. If your spirit is still full of issues inside yourself, such as your own demons and your shadow and your fears, then this is a dangerous transit, because people will be spooked by their own ghosts and their own boogeymen. And so their ego may be overly responsive, go too far, or blame others. It's a time where we might project ourselves onto others. And so that can be a very dangerous moment. In the same sense, however, you have a bunch of light workers on the planet, and these light workers are here to do good. And so they will be empowered also to move forward to do good and to express themselves in stronger ways. You'll see waves of light work kind of go out. Back during the last time when Neptune was in Aries, there was a lot of cults that came out during the time of the Civil War. Something I didn't even realize until I started studying. I didn't know that. But a lot of people had left their classic churches, and they had gone into some different cults. So you could see some extremism with Neptune and Aries. And you certainly will see a lot of false starts or false narratives where people are delusioned by Neptune and then they go too far. So we have to be careful of that. Then, as we go through the week, as if things aren't getting more interesting, we have on Tuesday, Venus retrograde conjuncts the North Node. Now, Venus has been retrograde, Mercury's in retrograde, and so this means that we are actually thinking backwards or back in time to what our mind maybe should be thinking instead of what it has been. Our mind is now recalculating for this new migo, or our wigo. And Venus moving backwards is having us open up to things that we originally closed down to. You might have been closed down simply because you were full of pain, your ego wanted to fight, or your ego wanted to fight or flight, and so you weren't open to certain things. But now with Venus retrograde, especially crossing the nodes, which is Pisces at 27, we will be open to things that we weren't before. It could be because you're feeling strong. It could be because you're over your shadow. But whatever it is, expect a change in direction. I'm predicting that many people will be changing suddenly and rapidly, maybe moving into a new circumstance or breaking up with someone, maybe getting married, a flash dance sort of marriage, things like that that seem impulsive. But it's not really that they're impulsive per se, it's that they're inspired. With Neptune and Aries, we're getting subconscious clues or cues to do things that we hadn't normally done before. So it's going to be interesting in that sense. I would say expect the unexpected for the next 7 years or so. Now, by the end of the week, we are now be moving into the teen degrees. We'll be complete with our migo or our wigo, and we'll be moving into being able to balance it now. And that will be a theme for a while. I think we're all going to feel so strong. We're going to have a hard time keeping the balance and making things work. And as we get to the end of the week on Friday, we have a lot of things that sort of bring us back to balance. A lot of sextiles, Mercury conjuncts the North Node itself, so the mind also follows up with that. Saturn sextiles Uranus, Mars sextiles Uranus, and Mars tries Saturn. So everything sort of gets into a balance of power, if you will, and that's a good thing. We need it because the moon by then will be in Cancer. So let's take a look at the planet, shall we? First of all, we got a party going on in Pisces still. And we got to talk about that because the Pisces spectrum is our subconscious, right? So there's a lot of stirring going on. We have, at the bottom, we have Saturn at 24 degrees. So Saturn this week is encouraging us to take responsibility to open up to the future we belong in. So get in that future you're supposed to be in. Neptune, however, is what crosses over into Aries. Now, I think this will be somewhat of a calming state. Neptune's been at 29 Pisces for some time, causing a little chaos in Pisces, and us having to test our faith and test our ability to keep the faith. Once Neptune goes into zero, zero means zero. We'll probably not feel our psychic awareness. We'll feel things sort of underneath the surface, but we won't necessarily have images or clarity on it until Neptune goes to 1 degrees. So that can be sometimes happy or hard, right? So it depends on how it serves your story. The North Node this week stays a constant at step 27. That means that we are moving forward with our narrative. It's sort of the conscious current of our time. And so we're being encouraged to listen to our feelings, step 2, and our intuition, step 7. And if they are both on the same page, then move forward and take action. It could be something you never experienced or expected in the past. Venus retrograde, which is now in Pisces, moves from 29 to 26 during this retrograde. That means that you're going to open up now and reconsider maybe what your mission is. We worked on a mission when the sun was in Pisces. Mission being, I'm here, I'm born to do this, I'm born to be that. But now that you have this new wigo, and now you're getting rid of your shadow, you might start to consider that maybe there needs to be a little bit of a upgrade or a change in what we do. So with Venus retrograde, expect yourself to maybe be reconsidering what you're dedicated to, or perhaps the timeline that you're dedicating to something. Excuse me. And Mercury moves from 0 back to 27 Pisces retrograde, 0 Aries to 27 Pisces. Mercury will go all the way to 26 before it stations direct, which means we are also recalculating a commitment in our mind. So we're basically opening up and we're considering a new commitment to our spiritual purpose. And it's possible that you start with something completely different, or it's possible that you aim for a different goal. But it's interesting that we make this change after the wigo is born. Moving into Aries, this week the sun moves from step 9 to step 15. Now 9 is, of course, where we have the eclipse and we birth the new wigo. And from 9 to 15, you're basically evaluating your daily life. So the story will be that as you move forward with your new wigo, you look at your life through a new lens. You now see things differently. Maybe you're not intimidated by something you once were. Maybe suddenly you are intimidated because you realize you're going to egg on a fight with someone, being so strong yourself. But as a result, we start to make little changes in the lifestyle we want to live, and we start making changes in our behavior and how we respond to stimulus in our life. So it's very much about the heart making considerations for a different way of doing things day to day. Mercury moves from 0 to 27 Pisces, but does start in 0, so that's worth noting. Chiron, however, is at a steady step 21, where it starts to get fun. And what this is that as our ego progresses, or our wigo progresses up the chain of command of Aries, we are in fact healing our story about the future. So your story about the future might have been that you'll likely end up poor, or something will happen to you like your grandma, or you hope you don't get cancer like so and so did. And those sort of bleak outcomes were based on your trauma and your drama inside yourself. And so once you've come on to feeling strong about this stuff, your future story heals. So stay open in your mind about what's possible. Uranus, however, is a steady step 24. This is good because we are feeling where we belong. And it's important to actually take some time to feel where you belong, because otherwise Uranus will take you there without asking. Now, this means you're just feeling out to something in the future that you feel is like you, something that you feel is like your energy, your style, your spirit. So feel into that, because you're going to grow like a beanstalk as Uranus starts to speed up. Then let's look at the moon for the week. The moon, our emotions. So over the week, of course, we start with the moon in Aries, and that's the new moon eclipse. And that means that we're kind of feeling through our ego. We're going to be defensive, I think, on Saturday and Sunday. I think we're going to feel like a fish out of water, a stranger in a strange land, feel kind of different. And so that will maybe make some people cranky and reactive. Be careful to how you react to yourself more than anything, especially to others, but yourself first. Then the moon moves into Taurus on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. This is where your feelings will now be invested in creating a new world. So you're going to be ready to manifest something new. You've got the new wigo, now time for the new world, now time for the new manifestations. So it's a good time to make money and make investments and get some business out of the way. Then come Tuesday, we move into Gemini. And the moon in Gemini is going to be very communicative. So I think this is where we start to really talk about our feelings and start to talk about, hey, you know what, things have changed. I feel stronger now, or I feel this now, and so I don't know if I can work here, Bob, or I don't know if I can do this. This is where we start to see, I think, people starting to break apart and starting to disavow themselves from situations. And it's also where people may say too much, because the moon will cross over Jupiter, revealing a lot of truth. Come Thursday night, the moon moves into Cancer, where it will stay through Friday. And this is really the first time that we will process our feelings about all these changes. So, you know, the ego is a part of us that allows us to cut off from our feelings. That's because the first house squares the fourth. Anytime you square a house, you can cut yourself off or pinch it off. So it's not until Thursday night, Friday, that your feelings catch up to you. So I would say, if you're making a dramatic change in your life with you or someone else, give yourself to the weekend to process it, because the feelings are going to come in a little late as far as the ego is concerned. Now, moving into Gemini. Jupiter in Gemini this week goes from step 15 to step 16. This is a good thing, because what's going to happen is, first of all, at 15 degrees, our heart is open or being forced open. So some creative genius, a lot of potential for creativity. Then as Jupiter moves into 16 degrees or step 16, the heart opens up towards heaven. So a lot of divine intervention coming on, a lot of great ideas coming out of nowhere. I think people have sort of the answer whispered in their ear if they just stay focused on their heart. Then moving on to Cancer, Mars, which is the ruling planet of Aries and the wigo, is way up in Cancer. All right, so this means that our ego is facing the headwinds, if you will, of emotion, of passion. And Mars starts at step 22. Step 22 is the alchemist degree. Now, sometimes alchemy happens because people riot and burn the whole place down. Sometimes it goes that far. We're not going to be there. I don't feel like there's going to be anything like that. People are too new with their wigo, and Mars is retrograde through the space. It's still in shadow, so we would have had that already happen if that was going to be the case. But it does mean that our ego is going to be sensitive to feelings. And it means that you need to show up feeling the way you want to feel and take responsibility for how you feel on your own terms before you interact with others. So you don't want to test out that new wigo in conflict. It's not designed for conflict. And so the only way to do that is to show up emotionally strong and as mature as possible on the situation. And then we have the nodes. Now I skipped the north node, but the north node is at 27 Pisces. The south node is at 27 Virgo. The thing about 27 is that is when things get destroyed, all right? Whenever you have a south node, you have the negative expression of. So movement forward is north node 27. Movement backwards or destruction would be south node 27 Virgo. So this means that, you know, whether you do your lessons or not, whether you show up for yourself or others or not, things are going to start to collapse now, because the values are changing on our planet, and especially here in the United States. And also, we are at a point where it's time to renew and build for the future. So, you know, this means that structures, businesses, situations will start to fall apart, and I recommend you don't try to save it because you get hurt in the process. Moving on to the Scorpio sign, Black Moon Lilith has recently moved into Scorpio, and this is probably one of the darkest we get with Black Moon Lilith. That's because it goes there, basically. There's no boundaries, and quite often it has fears around boundaries, betrayal, robbery, theft, crossing boundaries, sexual abuse. Any kind of fear or trauma that's around those topics can come up. And right now it's sort of a free-for-all because Black Moon Lilith is at Grandmaster Step 0, which means some of the most repressed memories and things can come to the surface. Do know, though, that Black Moon Lilith is only about the fear. It's not about those things happening again. It's actually about how you respond when those feelings come up. And you will have the strength and the ability to face them. But it may be a little bit scary. And for those who have Black Moon Lilith in Scorpio, natally, this will be the end of that transit. Thank Goddess. Then finally, Pluto in Aquarius. Pluto in Aquarius is steady Freddy at Step 3 Aquarius this week. That means that you are protecting your belief in yourself. This makes a lot of sense because when we make a lot of changes in our life, sometimes we start to want to pull the rug out from under us and second guess ourselves and second guess our belief. If you're doubting, remember, a belief in step awareness is your heart feeling it's true, the 1 plus the 2 making the 3. So as long as your heart feels it's true, then put up some boundaries. Boundaries means give yourself space and time before you reconsider. Put a kind of moratorium on changing it for a certain period of time. Maybe when Pluto goes to 4, it'll be a good time. Or perhaps give yourself the benefit of the doubt always. Or perhaps you could just simply ignore the question and just say it doesn't exist. So just not to go there altogether. But here's the thing. This has been my experience. When you honor Pluto, everything will be fine. So if you protect your belief, most cases, the belief will be right, whether you know it or not. So protect it and it shall be free. All right, friends. Well, now it's time to talk about you and our soul horoscope. I'll have a zodiac for all 12 signs after this.
Whether you have answers or you're seeking answers,
there's something here for everyone.
The love that is felt in the room, it's unmatched.
Talking to all these other people and all these different stages of life.
Energy changing, next level.
It's allowing me to have tears of joy, not the tears of sadness that I've had for so long.
They've all been super inspiring.
I've been brought to tears.
I'm learning how to love myself.
I've never felt so comfortable in my life.
It has been a blast. Highly recommend.
I created Crystal by Crystal because I struggled to hear my inner guidance. Sitting still was never easy for me, but lighting a candle changed everything. Now I combine the energy of fire, crystals, and Reiki to create candles that are more than decor. They are sacred tools for self-care and empowerment. These candles have transformed both my life and my customers' lives, and to deepen your journey, I offer private Reiki sessions. Save with code JOY20 at crystalbycrystal.com. Your transformation starts.
Become a Unite the Light sponsor. Make your mark in the industry, expand your audience, and promote your business. Be a part of our mission to create a formidable Lightworker alliance that boosts revenue and helps heal the earth. Sponsorship packages range from budget-friendly Kickstarters to high-end campaigns for both Unite the Light marketing and Serious Joy TV ads. Book your Unite the Light sponsorship today at unitethelight.love/B-A-sponsor.
And we're back with our soul horoscopes. This is where we talk about you, my friend. We talk about each of the 12 signs. And before we dive in, I want to give you what we're talking about. This week, I think it's really important to talk about the solar eclipse in Aries. That's going to be the finalization of your new wigo. I'll talk about where that wigo is forming for you. And so if it's your sign, and I say it's forming in that part of your life, that means you just focus on that part of your life, and the rest of your life will come into place. Then I think we should talk about Neptune in Aries. What does that mean? Bring that spiritual energy into there. And what does it mean as far as karma spreading over into the Aries consciousness? Then I'll talk about Venus and Mercury conjoining the North Node. We talked about that in the open. Well, conjoin the North Node is step 27 Pisces. This is where you will have to move forward with spirit, regardless of what ego may be doing. And then finally, we have Saturn sextiling Uranus with Mars sextiling and trining. This energy is all working towards cleaning things up. Remember I said in the beginning of the show, well, I'll talk about where you were cleaning things up and how and what parts of your life are tied together. And without further ado, let's start with the Aries. Aries, this solar eclipse is hitting you better than anyone else. In fact, it's right on the head energetically. It's time for you to now build a new response to yourself. So the way you treat yourself is not acceptable for the future. You must treat yourself and be someone else to yourself. This means you might have to stop a behavior or begin a behavior, one of the two. Whatever the case is, it's all over the map most likely. It's probably start and stop. And what's important is that you do and you practice rather than you hold back. So make sure you take that practice and practice as much as you can. If you are in a bad situation where you hurt yourself or you do things that are dangerous, things will be incredibly dangerous around the eclipse. So please be careful. Don't do anything stupid during that time, stunts and whatnot. Now, Neptune in Aries means that Spirit is now going to be helping you with your actions. Overall, for this transit in Neptune in Aries, you're going to become a God service provider, whether you want to or not. Energetically, you'll find that you have a hunch to go somewhere, and lo and behold, there'll be someone that needs your help, or you'll find that you are led to certain things that your heart is looking for. You're going to be incredibly intuitive, but it also means that your behavior will be where you play out your karma. And so whatever issues you might still have lingering about bad behavior and whatnot, you're going to draw that to you more than you ever have. So you could say that you are spiritually incredibly attractive for the next 7 or more years. Now, the Venus conjuncting the North Node and Mercury retrograde says that basically it's time to look at or pull away from whatever your mission was before or your actions were when it came to God consciousness. This is the high form of spirituality, so this has to do with your relationship to angels, your relationship to ascended masters, but whatever your old big picture of God was or creation was, you're now withdrawing from it and you're now moving towards a new direction. So this means that if it feels right and you sense that it's right, you're not full of it, then go forward and take the action to get closer. This is also a good time to start a regular prayer regimen or meditation regimen for yourself as well. And then finally, with Saturn sextiling Uranus, with Mars sextiling and trining, this is actually going from your 12th house to your 2nd. So basically, you are having a connection between spirituality and also manifesting money. And so it's time now to bring those two in the same page. While you take responsibility for being spiritual, you must also take responsibility for manifesting more money. And you'll probably find that the more spiritual you are, the more money you can make. At the same time, we have this trine sextile, goes to the 4th. Basically, this energy also depends on you being emotionally founded in your 4th house, meaning it's important for you to do the right things and take the right actions so that you feel secure and safe all the time. Taurus. Taurus, this solar eclipse hits you right in the pocket of personal faith. It's now time for Tauruses to have the benefit of the doubt and take faith first and fear second. This means it's time to act accordingly. So when we say have faith, Taurus, we mean follow through. Make it happen. Make it so. Don't stop yourself. Don't allow yourself to be frozen. And be careful, honestly, if you're not really in line of faith, you could be in the line of hazards. The subconscious can sometimes cause accidents. So those Tauruses who are completely unaware of the transit could be prone to accidents on this eclipse. It also means that if you have any lingering fear there, it might have to purge up. So I wouldn't be surprised if you felt some anxiety today or yesterday, the days before the eclipse, or some anxiety after the eclipse, because it's sort of pushing out what needs to go. Now, Neptune in Aries means that Tauruses now are on a spiritual mission. That's not surprising, really, because you have Pisces ruling the house of society. So you've always been here on a spiritual mission, but you would say the mission now is taking a very important role. So for the next 7 years or so, you'll be on this mission, which means a lot of fated things are going to happen. You're going to meet people from past lives that you likely recognize. You're going to awaken to past lives if you haven't already. And you're going to develop a much closer communion with God consciousness. So the bulls are getting holy. That's good. Now, when it comes to this Mercury and Venus conjunction with the North Node, it has to do with your social ambition. It's now time to rewrite and edit and polish your mission in society. You're definitely getting a go. It's time to go forward and make it happen. But at the same time, you might pull away from some little details that weren't just right because they were based on your pain or working around your trauma or worrying about something bad happening. And everything you do going forward should just be based on what good will happen. Now, looking at the Saturn sextiles with Uranus and Mars, basically you are taking responsibility for your role in society, and you must coordinate this with your character. So you want to make sure that you are playing the role in person that you play in the worldview. Make sure they are the same. It's going to be important for people trusting you. And at the same time, it's time to also tie in your message. Make sure your language, your tone, and even the words you use are synonymous with what people get in person. All right. Geminis. Geminis, I'm excited for you. This solar eclipse is actually helping you to be who you need to be to yourself when you're in public. So, a lot of Geminis kind of go soft on themselves. They let themselves get talked into things, or they let people talk over them, things like that. And that's because your inner self is not paying attention to you when you're in the public. So this eclipse is giving you a real strong Gemini twin, if you will, an avatar that will help you be there for yourself when you are going out in the world. And this will lead to social ambition and social success. So it's a good thing. Now, Neptune in Aries means that your social ambition is going to be spiritually led or past life led for the next 7 years or so. So you can expect that anything that happens is likely fated. Fated meaning that in heaven, or the company of heaven, you chose to have certain experiences. So I would say it's a good policy to sort of use your intuitive side to choose what you do in the world, and to go ahead and find yourself moving towards the things you're attracted to and move away from the things you don't feel attracted to. Now, for those for you and your Venus conjunction with the North Node, the universe is saying, hey, it's time to double down and move forward with your career legacy. It is time. You might find that something opens up. You might have an offer come out of nowhere. If that's the case, listen to your feelings, listen to your intuition, and if they both say yes, then definitely take that move and go forward. It could also mean you moving forward as a parent, and it could be also you moving forward with your legacy. That is something you want to be known for after you die, but may not be known for right now. With the Saturn Uranus sextile, what this means is that your career and your faith must be one in one. So they must be working together. You must make sure that you have faith in your career, and your career is living to the principles of whatever your faith happens to be. And with that said, it's also important that these also tie into your values. So your values, your ability to make money, they must all be in synchronicity with career and also with your faith. All right. There we go. Cancers. Cancers, your eclipse is happening when it comes to self-discipline. So Cancers are getting a new booster shot on how to stay focused on what's really important to them, how to commit to yourself, how to follow through with those commitments, and how to be your own leader. So this is a strength you have always needed. You're good at that when it's about helping others. I think the difference between that old ego and the new one is that you're doing it for yourself now, entirely for yourself. So it's a new Cancer indeed. Now, this eclipse is going to endow you with the ability to pursue career and legacy like you never had before. So take advantage of the opportunities that come, and don't hesitate or wait. Now, the Neptune in Aries cycle means that basically if your career is going to be where all of your psychic awareness, your fated moments, and maybe even meeting the love of your life will be. So God is pulling it all towards the decisions you make and helping you to make those decisions according to your spiritual legacy, not necessarily your physical earth one. So listen to the signs when it comes to your career. Venus and Mercury conjuncting the North Node for you indicates that it's time now to move forward with what you believe is your life purpose. So if something gives you great meaning, if something makes you feel like you're doing good in life for yourself and that makes you feel like a better person, that's the direction to go. Try not to pay too much attention to money or power or situations like that. And definitely, let go of the old way of thinking and the old logic that might keep you from going forward. Now, the Sun sextile Uranus says to us that Cancers are tying in their belief structure with their place in society. You've really got to be doing things in the world that you truly believe in. They have to go together. You cannot turn your back on that. And it's also important that you walk the talk, that your character is acting just like your theories. So you're basically practicing what you preach. Just the water here. Leos. Leos. Leos, this solar eclipse is actually a booster shot in believing in yourself. Now, chances are you already do believe in yourself, but you can waver at times. And that's because if you don't like the reaction of the audience, or if you find that you're in the unpopular view, that your belief structure is the one that people don't usually like, Leos don't always act on according to their beliefs. But you're in a place now where you must act on what you believe in yourself. And basically move forward with what you believe in, and let the things you don't believe in so much sort of fall away or not be as invested in. This is going to put you on the path of your life purpose and accelerate your purpose. It's also going to put you on a path of learning and probably mastery. So Leos and Leo risings are on their way to mastering their craft. Now, Neptune in the ninth house means that you're going to be intuiting a lot of information when it comes to learning. So you might get a pull to go to a library or turn on a movie, or an intuition to go on a trip somewhere. You're not sure why, but some land is calling to you. Pay attention to those. For the next 7 years, God Universe is using spirit to guide you on your personal education. Excuse me. Now, when it comes to Venus and Mercury conjoining the North Node, this has to do with transformation and intimacy. It's now time to go forward and not be afraid to be close to others. And this means that you will feel exposed, that you might feel vulnerable, that you might feel like you've lost control for a moment. But as long as your feelings and intuition say yes, then you absolutely should. And don't worry about money or values or even your net worth. If it means moving into a way, in a direction in your life that feels good and transforms you in a lighter way, you're definitely meant to take that path right now. Now, when it comes to the Saturn sextile to Uranus, it's a lot to say, you are connecting now trust and boundaries with career. You've got to really be careful to draw appropriate boundaries that protect your career, and your career should be able to support the privacy that you need. So it's not a good time to have a career that invades your privacy or invades your private time. They must each have their respective places. At the same time, it's important for you to honor your spiritual calling. So don't let your spiritual calling fall to the wayside by your career, or even fall to the wayside by your sex life. Leos now are trying to get those three in order, and that's going to make them a lot stronger in the future. Excuse me. Excuse me. Virgos. Virgos, it's now time to transform your life. And it's going to happen from trusting yourself. The solar eclipse is pushing for you to take new action when it comes to changing your personal boundaries with yourself and also enforcing them. So in some cases, you might have really good boundaries, but you don't enforce them, or vice versa, that you enforce boundaries, but they're just not the right boundaries you're enforcing. So in essence, you are taking up boundaries and putting down boundaries that relates to yourself. And this transformation of your inner self and inner trust allows you to change your entire life. Once you can trust yourself without any doubt, you'll be able to trust yourself in any situation that involves you changing things and standing tall to what your soul needs. Now, Neptune in this space means that your intimate relationships will be where you learn a lot of spiritual values. You're going to be really having spirituality come through strange doors. You might find that you have a guru at 7-Eleven, or you might find that you have information come in, from a strange place, such as from a ghost or from, a situation that's out of this world. It also means that you might face death in this next 7 years, but not yourself facing death, just facing the loss of others, and that somehow will also be a spiritual lesson. Don't worry, though. Anything that happens in this regard is destined, and the universe has got you, really. Now, the Venus-Mercury conjunction with the North Node ultimately means that you are being called to move along the path of marriage and partnership. That's right. You're being called to go ahead and partner. So this would mean partnering in business partnerships, partnering with like a neighbor, like a neighborhood watch, partnering with a lover, obviously, that's the most common. But you are saying, yes, if it feels right, if you sense it's right, then it is right. Go ahead and partner now. It will not hurt you. Now, what this also means is that you have to let go of some financial goals, or perhaps let go of personal debt, or let go of some sort of investments you made, because it's the connection and the partnership that's most important. And also, you'll have to probably let go of some character flaws or situations of your own personality that probably get in the way of those potential partnerships. So having to let go of some of this more solid stuff so you can have the intangible perfect connection. Now, with that said, the Saturn sextile Uranus setup says that your career, your marriages and your belief structure have got to go hand in hand. You have to be in relationships with people that believe in the same things you do. So you're never setting yourself up for a good situation if you disagree with everything, which Virgos are commonly known to do. But it's not that I think you disagree with everything. I think it's that you partner with people who are disagreeable to you. And so that was the flaw. Your ability to heal something doesn't mean you're supposed to tolerate something that doesn't go together naturally. Now, this also must be tied into your reputation in the world. Not only must you live by your beliefs when it comes to your partnerships, you must live by your beliefs when it comes to your social world. And you may say you already do that, but sometimes Virgos have some really out there beliefs, and they keep it private to themselves. So You don't have to disclose, but you do have to own and follow through. Libras. Libra, oh my gosh, this is a big one. It's now time for you to get mirrored to yourself again. So the vows that you made before you were born to yourself are being rewritten. These are new marriage vows. That means it's time to move forward with all the new promises you made for yourself and to officially let go of the old problems or the old marriage vows because they no longer serve you. By changing these marriage vows and changing your relationship to yourself, you are in fact going to change all of your relationships in life and put yourself on a transformative path in all relationships. I must also say that because this is your natural ruling state, you'll most likely also end up changing it for everyone in the world. So once Libras all decide to change in their values and relationships, because you lead relationships, the world will eventually follow. It may take about 7 years for you to see that effect, but you'll see. Now, Neptune in the space means that everything around everything around relationships is faded right now. So if someone enters your life, you might have past life soulmates come in. You might have a boss at work that is like a mentor that comes in out of nowhere. You might have people leave you now because that's the necessary for your lesson. So I guess don't take relationships too personally because there's spiritual lessons involved in them. And in some cases, you're being called in the relationship to be a teacher and not necessarily a person who's going to benefit from it. But don't worry, in the end, the equation will balance out. God and the universe will give you to you as much as you give to others. Now, Venus-Mercury conjunct the North Node says, it's now time to go full force with your new lifestyle. You should have a lifestyle that you feel and sense is good for you. Don't be concerned about money. Don't be concerned about resources. And don't be concerned about your job. Really trust your feelings and your intuition to forge that lifestyle that you deserve and to just take advantage of the trade winds blowing your life into good. Now, this does mean, though, however, that you're going to have to let go of old karma, old fears, and in some cases, let go of dogmatic religion if it's preventing you from having the life that you want. Now, finally, Saturn sextile Uranus says that your health and your trust and boundaries must go hand in hand. In other words, you must now bring the wisdom of boundaries and control into your daily life at all times. And at the same time, you must bring the needs of your daily life into your private space so you have time to meditate away from life and be able to really get to the bottom of what's going on. On top of that, whatever you come up with between life and privacy, you must carry that out in your career, that your decisions that you make for yourself and where you lead yourself should be based on the wisdom of your protection, the 8th house, and your daily life, which is the 6th house. All right. Scorpio. Scorpio, you are making some major changes to your lifestyle and performance. There was once a day when Scorpios told me that they were always slave to their boss, that they did not like their work, that they were always in conflict with people in their work. And this is true. This is because you have Aries in the house of daily life. And so your ego really comes out in your daily life routines and work. But a lot of the times you had conflict was because you already had conflict with yourself. You weren't necessarily dedicated to you feeling well in the moment. So Scorpios and Scorpio risings now are being called to feel well in the moment. That means to make sure that your needs are taken care of first, that your body is healthy, that you're getting all the sleep you need, that you're getting the nutrition you need, and that you're living in the present. You're not living in the past, dwelling on pain. You're not living in the future, trying to escape the reality. So you're sort of getting a recalculation to living in the body and living fully. Now with Neptune moving in this space, it does mean that your karma is going to play out in your daily life and your work. So you're going to have situations that will play out. Your spiritual calling will play out there too. You'll find that you are a hero or you are God's little angel in work situations. And you might be a person that just someone from a stranger pulls you over or asks you for your help because you're being kind of vibrating as the angel in the scene. Now the Venus conjunct the North Node says it's now time for Scorpios and Scorpio risings to chase after their personal dreams or what we call serious joy. If you feel it in your heart and you sense it's right, then do it. Don't miss this opportunity. This is something that Scorpios have been robbed of in many lifetimes, which is why you have that bitter Scorpio thing. The bitterness usually comes from the fact that the heart is broken and you haven't done anything to solve it. Well, now the universe wants you to solve it, and what's more, you have the power of Saturn and other planets helping you to do it. Now, with that said, there are a couple areas to pay attention to. It's important that your inner child and your creative activities are completely in alignment with your partnerships. So you have to make sure that your partnerships support your children, and your partnerships support your creativity, and your creativity also supports your partnerships. This will reduce a lot of friction that could otherwise play out. Now, it's also important that this connection between partnership and creativity is also in alignment with your beliefs. So I know most Scorpios are not out of alignment, but this is suggesting that your relationships and your creativity will not go very far if they're not in alignment with what you truly believe. And I think the note there is what you truly believe, not what you tell others. All right. Sagittarius, woohoo, I'm excited for you. Sagittarius, it's now time to act on self-love in every moment. That means everything you do should also be a self-loving thing. And the more you address that and the more you make it so, the faster your dreams are going to come true. If you're a person looking for love, it's waiting on your self-love. If you're looking to get pregnant, it's waiting on your self-love. If you're looking to be an artist and a successful one, it's waiting on your self-love. This solar eclipse is giving you a major boost to loving yourself. And that means you'll have the energy to always show up. Now, you can't always do everything at the same time. So pick your priorities by the one you love the most or the actions that you enjoy the most, okay? Put that joy at the top. Now, with Neptune moving into Aries, it means that Sagittarius are actually going to be doing God's work when they have fun. It's a nice setup. So whenever you're creative, whenever you're romantic, whenever you're in your heart, you're doing God's work. Neptune is going to work through you and work through your joy. I think, honestly, if I can dare to guess what God's plan is when Sagittarius are happy, people flock to you, right? So if you're happy, everybody's happy, and God can get that message in through you. Now, the trines I was talking about earlier for you is with your family and emotional security. Venus and Mercury retrograde conjoining the North Node says hey, it's now time to be your own master, and the master of the land owner, right? So it's time now to move forward to own the land or control the land, or for you to control your security. Your emotional security should not be in the hands of anyone else now. And if you have to do something drastic, then just remember the formula. Does it feel right, and do you sense it's the right thing to do? Now, that said, you are going to combine some houses or states of awareness now necessary for the change. On the one hand, the needs of your emotions and family must coincide and work with the needs of daily life. So you have to make sure that you are not skipping out on your home and you're not skipping out on your work. They both have to each support one another and not sacrifice from one and take from each other. Lastly, they have to both be in line with your boundaries. You have to make sure that you are protecting yourself emotionally at home and you're protecting yourself also in your daily life. So bringing the boundaries is what certifies it as an official change. Capricorns. Capricorns, you are now moving forward with new self-nurturing. And this might be the first time you are self-nurturing, actually. Capricorns tend to kind of be born with parents that either ignore them and are kind of cold to them, or parents that sort of smother them, right? And just take over. So Capricorns are learning how to, do it kind of like the Goldilocks zone, just right, to nurture yourself in a perfect way to bring your feelings back to neutral on command. And when you do that and you stand up for your own emotional security, you then actually can hold security for big things like your businesses and your children and your grandchildren and whatnot. So you could say that Capricorns are becoming so emotionally nurturing that they can actually now be the emotional one in the house or the nurturing parent in the future. I know, hard to believe, but I think it's actually happening. Now, Neptune in Pisces says that, Neptune in Aries says that for the next few years, you're going to be doing a lot of your spiritual work through family and through processing your emotions. So your feelings cannot go second. They must go first. You'll find that the more rich you are in emotional awareness, the more rich you will be in life. You'll be able to make more money. In fact, some of the money problems that Capricorns have had has been because they have not had a nurtured emotional foundation, and the nurturing that they got was usually from someone in their family, not directly from them, which is the source you actually need to work with. Now, that said, the Venus conjunction to the North Node with Mercury means that you must now move forward with certain plans or an attitude. This plan or attitude is likely a little unconventional. It might be what no one else is doing at the time. It might be a vision you have for real estate or a vision you have for life. But whatever it is, follow that vision. And you are getting a green light to go ahead and communicate it to the people that you trust. Just make sure that you can feel and sense that they are trustworthy. Now, the Saturn sextile with Uranus is connecting your thoughts with your inner child. So basically, your mind has got to be on the same page as your inner child and as your creative side. You can't have one be stronger than the other or better than the other. And so the mind and the inner child must work seamlessly together. And when it also trines and sextiles the seventh house, it means that it must be also in compatibility with your relationships. So your feelings about others, your mind, and your inner child have got to be on the same page. Excuse me. Aquarius. Aquarius, you are now doing an attitude adjustment on your inside or inner monologue voice. Everyone has an inner monologue where they go off talking to themselves, whether it's out loud or in their head. And what it says for you is that this part of you has been a bit abusive to yourself and has at times taken advantage, which ultimately, even though it's you to you, your soul still feels kind of beat up by it. So Aquas have got to have a response in their mind that's pro who they want to be and not pulling them back into the old self. They shouldn't be making fun of themselves, should not be harsh on yourself, and should be unconditionally loving. Those qualities, that's the right attitude to you, which then gives you the right attitude and approach to life. You'll find that by changing and speaking differently to yourself in your head, that you have a different ability to communicate things in a more neutral way to others, and you probably will find more brilliant logic to get things done even faster. So you'll find that it was that lag that was lagging things. Now, Neptune in Aries means that you're going to be incredibly intuitive and come up with some amazing ideas for the next 7 years or so. As Neptune moves through this space, you're sort of wired to the company of heaven. So you're going to have the ability to come up with ideas that no one else sees and really take it places that no one else can see. That's part of you being a visionary. And so that ego or that Martian energy or that Aries energy is really there to help you get that idea out rather than fight about whether it's right or wrong. Now, the conjunction to the North Node between Mercury and Venus, for you says it's really time to focus real hard on abundance. That's right. The universe wants you to make some money, and that's a good thing. So move forward with all interests with money. I'm a person that always says, go ahead and lay down 6 projects. You'll find that 3 of them are biting or having, traction, and 3 of them aren't. So that way you always have 3 revenue streams in play. But most likely everything will work. It's just going to be a consideration of what will work the most and what's the most satisfying for your investment. Now, the sextiles for you are connecting your values and your money with your emotional foundation. Like you have to make investments with your feelings in mind and face your feelings in mind that it can affect your self-worth and ability to manifest. So this have to be really crispy clean, right? And on top of that, the universe is saying, not only should your feelings feel good about your money, but you should feel good about your life. That you ultimately have got to have a life that is work-life balanced, that's honoring your values, and is honoring your feelings on top of it. And then lastly, the Pisces. Pisces, good stuff here. You're being called now to focus on abundance and distribution. That's right. It's time to make a lot of money and to manifest your dreams into physical reality. You've already spent plenty of time being in the spiritual. You could say that the universe is asking you to turn that intangible spirit into tangible results. So it's time to face debt. It's time to eliminate your issues with not having enough. And this all happens by deliberately and consciously boosting your self-worth. So you must be your greatest cheerleader. Everything you say and everything you do to yourself should be rewarding and encouraging and not the latter. And not anything other. Now that is going to be, I think, part of why people listen to you is because suddenly the Pisces is not the poor, volunteer in the corner. Pisces is the one doing really well. And so that'll make people want to know about who you are and how you did it. I think this is how God is going to get you to be a leader in a spiritual form, is by putting you in a place to make a lot of money and be very successful. Now, Neptune in this space means that you're going to have a lot of intuition and help from God when it comes to manifestation, dealing with money, handling bills that you may not understand how to handle, and being able to actually restructure your finances to big things like homes and property and things like that. Now, that said, by spending money and making money, you should know you're doing God's work with Neptune in Aries. Now, as far as the conjunction to the North Node, it is now time to move full forward with your character. I wouldn't leave any part of your character in the closet anymore. I would share who you are 100% authentically. I think what's going to do it is going to bring opportunity to you and not bring you any kind of trouble. And with the South Node in Virgo, it means that to be in this new character may mean that you have to walk away from relationships that don't serve you anymore. So unfortunately, it looks like Pisces will be leaving a lot of partnerships, but that's always the story now, isn't Pisces? It's just another day. And then lastly for Pisces, the trines, the sextiles. The universe is saying it's really important that your behavior is matching your words. So you want to do what you say, basically. You want to be a walker and you want to be a talker both. So make sure that you're not doing one without the other. Make sure that every word or every thought is followed up with an action, and every action has a very strong word behind it. Lastly, this all must connect to your heart, and so all the words you use and all the behavior you do must be also heart-based and heart-sanctioned. If it's not coming from the heart, it's not coming from your highest self. Alrighty, wow, that was intense. A lot of stuff going on there, a lot of details, but you can feel there's a lot of change. And I'm excited for next week, actually, because one thing about the ego is that it usually gets fixed pretty quickly. It's the fastest moving energy we have, almost. And so when we do, we will see results. So be sure to follow through, folks, and take your own, but also take your time because you want to do it right. All right, friends, that's all we have for this week. A couple of things I just want to say there and put out there. One is sharing is caring. We appreciate you endorsing us. Almost everyone I ask, how did you find out about Serious Joy? The answer is a friend or an aunt or, it was a gift from somebody. So if you feel that hunch, please reach out and share it with someone because that's how they may get their help. Also, we're available on Facebook if you want to hang out with us. We have a club for just social, and also for advertising your own businesses if it's spiritual. And you can go there and register at seriousjoy.club. And then we also have a link tree. The link tree is growing. So Serious Joy does projects around the world and on other sites. And so you can start to see where we are spreading our flowers and love on Linktree. And then lastly, if you'd rather listen instead of watch, we are available on Spotify, Stitcher, and Apple Podcasts. All right, friends. Well, it's so nice to see you. Good luck in the eclipse, and I'll see you on the other side. Until then, I love you. Live, love, be.
Are you a practitioner looking to move your life's work into the spotlight? Do you have that special magic that makes you stand out? Serious Joy is now auditioning for its new Practitioner of the Week segment on Namaste Today. Sensei Christopher is looking to highlight qualified lightworkers with a promo short dedicated to raising awareness about your gifts. Interested? Contact Jenny at intuitive.com to apply for an audition and get ready to shake what your spirit